Having built one of the Premier League's greatest ever sides during a glorious 7.5-year tenure, Jürgen Klopp is facing his toughest challenge yet. His side sit 10th in the league after 20 games, has suffered humiliating defeats to Napoli, Brighton and Wolves, and as this goes out are yet to win a league game in 2023, scoring just once and conceding 9 in their last 4 fixtures. In total they've conceded 28 goals, more than the entirety of the 2021-22 campaign, and on current form are projected to finish on just 55 points, which would be an astronomical fall from 92 last year and their worst tally since 2011-12 when they finished 8th. And not only is Champions League qualification uncertain, so is the future of the club, with long-time owners Fenway Sports Group seeking new investment and a number of resignations in the back room. But what mistakes have led Liverpool to this point, and who is to blame? On today's FD Explained, we're going to Anfield. Not so long ago, Liverpool were widely considered to be Europe's best elite club in the transfer market, and the squad building process that brought us the 2019 European Cup winners and 2019-20 Premier League champions was nothing short of exceptional. Between 2016, Jürgen Klopp's first summer, and 2020, they built one of the most electric teams in English football history with a net spend of just €90.5 million, lower than that of Leicester, Stoke and Fulham, let alone their direct rivals, with the €135 million windfall from Felipe Coutinho's Barcelona move helping fund the game-changing signings of Virgil van Dijk, Fabinho and Alisson, and future club legends Mo Salah and Sadio Mane brought in for less than 50 million each. But since winning the Premier League in 2020, the Reds' activity in the transfer market hasn't been anywhere near as successful. Between that summer and this season, they have racked up a net spend of €180.9 million, still less than 8 other Premier League clubs, but notably more than Man City. And while they almost claimed an unprecedented quadruple in 2021-22, have endured 2 pretty forgettable seasons either side. Of course, injuries were a big issue both in 2021 and this term. Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz, arguably the club's 2 best signings since their title win, have both missed the majority of this campaign so far, while Roberto Firmino has also been out since the World Cup, forcing Klopp to rely heavily on Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo, both raw talents with 0 experience in a top 5 European league before this season. It's been a similar story in midfield, with 19-year-old Harvey Elliott and 18-year-old Stefan Bajcetic having to step up in the absence of Naby Keita, Curtis Jones and Artur, while the no-nonsense Ibrahima Konate has been sorely missed in the back line. But it's not hard to question whether the squad would be suffering as much from these problems had the club been smarter in the market. That's not to say all their business has been terrible. Fabio Carvalho was a snip at £5 million, Kostas Tsimikas is a versatile and adept backup fullback at €13 million, and the aforementioned Diaz and Jota were, like Mane and Salah, secured for under €50 million. But given their troubles in the centre this term, the fact that Thiago is the only midfielder they've signed permanently since 2018 is a cause for concern, especially when they spent a combined €122 million on Núñez and Gakpo after missing out on Aurelien Tchouameni. With Carvalho and Elliott both also suited to playing an attack, Klopp now possesses an incredibly top-heavy squad, with an underperforming Fabinho the only specialist defensive midfielder at his disposal. James Milner, once one of the German coach's most trusted acolytes, is now 37 and well past his prime, while it's currently hard to see captain Jordan Henderson, who turns 33 in June, becoming a regular starter again, let alone getting back to his best. So it does seem strange that an achievable backup option to Tchouameni wasn't identified in the summer market, with the Reds eventually opting to take Artur Melo on loan on deadline day, a player with a poor fitness record who had failed to play over 1,500 league minutes in a season after signing for Barcelona from Gremio in 2018. Artur is still yet to make an appearance in the Premier League at the time of writing, having been on the treatment table since October. The club's decision to sign Ibrahima Konate in 2021 was also puzzling, following a season in which long-term injuries to Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez almost cost the side a place in the Champions League. Despite his obvious strengths, the French centre-back had missed 45 games through injury across his final 2 seasons at RB Leipzig, and yet sporting director Michael Edwards was happy to sanction the €40 million purchase. He was superb last season, but has already missed 19 games this term, with recent losses to Brentford and Brighton just his second and third starts of the campaign. And those losses are indicative of a side that has lost its way, more so than any other Liverpool team in the Klopp era. He may have suffered significant blips during his tenure at Anfield, but never has his side lacked direction in a way they seemingly do now. He even suggested himself that their 3-0 defeat to Brighton in January was the worst performance of his 21-year managerial career, and that his players were, quote, not really convinced by his tactical approach to the game. Pretty damning given experienced heads like Henderson, Thiago, Fabinho and Salah all started. It's not hard to see why he was so annoyed. His side kept just 40% of the ball and mustered just 6 shots to Brighton's 16. Completely outplayed by a side whose total market value according to Transfermarkt is less than a third of Liverpool's, and yet sit 5 points above them with superior attacking and defensive records after 20 games. It's fair to say they have lost their on-pitch identity. While there is a lot more to vintage Klopp Liverpool than just pressing, it has nevertheless been a cornerstone of their style for years, and they have seriously dropped off in this department. Last term, they were the Premier League's most intense pressing outfit, allowing opponents just 8.1 passes per defensive action, and even in their troubled 2021 campaign, a season in which pressing also dropped off across the board due to weaker conditioning in the wake of the pandemic, they still ranked second in this metric to a hyperactive lead side. This term they rank a lowly 6th for PPDA, below Brighton, Arsenal, Newcastle and even Chelsea. Unsurprisingly, this has been disastrous for the defence, with more pressure on the back line leading to multiple individual errors. Not only are they conceding at a rate of 1.4 goals per game, their worst defensive record since 1964-65 when they conceded 73, but post-shot expected goals suggest they should have shipped even more, with only Fulham and Bournemouth ranking worse in this metric, despite Klopp's side playing the joint fewest games in the Prem. It's a good thing they have arguably the best goalkeeper in the world in Alisson, who has saved almost 8 goals according to FBref. It wouldn't be quite so bleak if they were at their dazzling best in attack, but despite their 16.8 shots per 90 ranking them first in the league, that's still down from 19 last year. Mo Salah has also dropped off in front of goal, missing his longtime collaborator Sadio Mane and spending more time in wide positions rather than breaking into the box. He's now taking just 3.1 shots per 90, the lowest average of his Reds career and down from 4.5 last year, while his expected goals per 90 have dropped from 0.75 to 0.47, another career low. But while on-pitch performances have been woefully under par this season, arguably the most worrying developments at Anfield have come behind the scenes. If Jürgen Klopp is looking increasingly agitated this term, it may partly be down to the fact his once well-established and tight-knit support network has weakened significantly in the last year. Liverpool's success in recent campaigns would not have been possible without the trio of Klopp, sporting director Michael Edwards and FSG president Mike Gordon. With their close relationship, blend of expertise and commitment to bringing glory back to Anfield in a sustainable fashion, powering the Reds back to the top of English and European football. Klopp and Edwards were in constant contact, known to casually chat about transfers and other club matters over breakfasts at the training ground canteen, while Gordon, described by the manager as the brains behind everything at Liverpool, would determine whether their plans were feasible and provide the support needed to make them happen. As Sky Sports senior reporter Melissa Reddy recently wrote, the Reds may not have signed Virgil van Dijk had Gordon not stepped in to repair the club's relationship with Southampton in 2017. Edwards left his post as sporting director at the end of last season, handing the reins to his protege Julian Ward, who had negotiated the Luis Diaz deal with Porto months earlier. Having worked at the club for almost a decade and under Edwards for a fair chunk of that time, he seemed like an obvious choice for a smooth transition. But by November 2022, he had announced his decision to leave Liverpool at the end of the season, news that sent shockwaves around the club, while Ian Graham, who leads a data analysis department that has been crucial to the club's recruitment strategy, is also set to leave. According to a source quoted in Reddy's report, the pair no longer feel empowered to do their jobs to the best of their ability. Her investigation also found that the Gakpo and Nunez signings were primarily led by the club's coaching staff, which backs up the suggestion that the recruitment department has lost some of its power. Mike Gordon, meanwhile, has stepped back from running Liverpool on a day-to-day basis to focus on efforts to find new investment for the club, a process that could take longer than originally expected, with rivals Man United also on the market. And compounding the side's injury woes is the fact the medical department has also experienced difficulties, with alleged friction between the club's physiotherapists and sports scientists at the start of the campaign, and club doctor Jim Moxon leaving without explanation. Reddy's report also revealed that there is, quote, large sentiment within the club that the head of fitness and conditioning, Andreas Kornmeier, who is also reportedly one of Klopp's most trusted staff members, has too much influence and is difficult to work with. As one source inside the club told her, a lot of key people have left and some have gained too much power. There's less faith in the decisions now. If this is the case, then Liverpool right now is a pretty divided and unhappy camp, especially when compared with recent years. Their declining performances may be a reflection of a troubled situation deeper within the club. Klopp is still standing, and it would be unwise to bet against him turning things around, but there's little doubt his job has become tougher than ever. So that was our take on Liverpool's troubles in 2023, but what did you make of the video, and do you think Klopp can turn things around? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and subscribe to Football Daily if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, see you next time.